Okay, this week's tip is about the wrap and turn method of short rows. And where you frequently see this is on short row heel socks. And it can cause you some consternation the first time because you're making a yarn over at the beginning of a row, and that can be a bit confusing. Now what I do is I work to where I want to start my short row, and instead of wrapping and turning and all of that business, I just turn my work and I'm going to make a yarn over before this stitch. Now if I keep my yarn on top and I go to knit the stitch, it's just, or purl the stitch rather, it's just going to make another stitch. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that the yarn is going to go around my needle when I form that stitch. So I put it under my needle and I go ahead and turn, and if my yarn would stop splitting, work to where I want to go. So I'm going to merrily go down here, wrap, wrap, wrap. Why did I check? Well, I know why I cast on 20 stitches, because I'm going to kind of like do a short row heel. And I get to where I'm going to go, where I'm going to do my first turn. And instead of wrapping, I'm just going to turn. And when I turn, if I just start to work here, it's just going to make the stitch. So I want to make sure that I have my yarn over my needle. So if it's a purl row, my yarn is under the needle. If it's a knit row, it's over the needle. And you can see that it forms a yarn over. Now I'm going to do a couple more of these, and then I'm going to hit pause and show how to work these once you've got them set up. And I've got a knot in my yarn that I'm going to undo first, and merrily, merrily work. Okay, I'm going to work up to that first yarn over and stitch pair, and you can see that those two guys look different than a regular stitch. There's a stitch and it's got this yarn over beside it. So I'm going to work right up to that, and then I'm going to turn and I'm going to do the same thing. Now remember, on purl side rows, I've got to have the yarn under my needle in order to get that yarn over. And I'll do one more, and then I'll pause the camera and come back to how you work these. Now if you're doing the heel of a sock, you're going to be doing this enough to get that angle on the sock that you want. And also when I pause the camera, I'll go get a sock that I have sitting around that I'm working on, so you can see what this looks like. Okay, there's my yarn over and stitch pair. I'm going to work that stitch, and then I'm going to turn, and because this is a knit row, I'm going to have my working yarn over the needle, and that's how I'm making the yarn over. And there I go. So I've got a yarn over pair, a yarn over pair.